If you're keeping score at home the way we are, we have another win for democracy, with Dominion Voting Systems getting a $67 million check from Newsmax, the right-wing news outlet, propaganda channel for Donald Trump. This is on top of the $787 million that Dominion Voting Systems got from Fox for allowing people, Trump surrogates, to go on their shows and spread falsehoods and lies about Dominion Voting Systems that built hardware for voting, almost put them out of business, because the Sidney Powells and the Mike Lindells and the Rudy Giulianis of the world went on television and said that Dominion Voting Systems was part of a global conspiracy, along with Smartmatic, the software company run by a Venezuelan business person, to flip votes from Trump to Biden electronically, involving satellites and all sorts of crazy things. Now, Smartmatic settled with Newsmax as well. And I think that set the foundation for this several months ago with a $40 million settlement. But Dominion's damages were much greater, and its lawyers were really loaded for bear. First of all, they had the case in the right place. They had Eric Davis, who's the judge down in Delaware, who was the judge for the Fox News case, be the judge in this case with Newsmax. They also had some devastating testimony and emails against the Newsmax CEO at the time, Mr. Ruddy, in which they and other executives questioned the sanity of the guests that were appearing with these anchors on Newsmax to spread the lies against Dominion, much like what happened in Fox. And now we've got the settlement. I'm Michael Popak. You're here on the Midas Touch Network and on Legal AF. Let's talk about it. Just happened today. Let's break it down. The fundamentals are Dominion got defamed terribly and almost put out of business by the Sidney Powells and Mike Lindells and others of the world who were willingly invited to go on shows like Fox to pump up the ratings. In fact, on Fox, when they were questioning internally, including Tucker Carlson and Lou Dobbs and the crazy stories that were being put on the air, and they had executive producers questioning them, Tucker Carlson was like, "You're not going to kill the ratings. You're not going to kill our audience. Keep putting it on." Newsmax was in a different position. They were trying to go public. They were trying to take their company public and make hundreds of millions of dollars. And they needed the ratings. And they needed the ratings that these stories provided. Now, their main defense that they raised with Judge Davis is that these were not news shows. These were opinion shows. No shit. I think we could have told you that. But listen to the emails that came out in discovery in terms of this case, and you'll know why they settled. Ruddy, who was the CEO of Newsmax, had an email that got disclosed in the case in which he said the following, and I quote, "Sidney Powell needs to check into a hospital." Okay? But that's not the only time internal people questioned the sanity of the stories that were being portrayed on Newsmax. The executive vice president of programming and content, Elliot Jacobson for Newsmax, said the following in an email disclosed in the case. Quote, "Simply giving them a microphone to spew more anti-election rhetoric and advance their claims without being properly equipped to question the legitimacy or factual accuracy of their assertions may be fun, but it's terrible journalism." Newsmax host Bob Sellers asked the showrunner, Jerry Burke, in another excerpt shown in court, "How long are we going to have to play along with election fraud?" I mean, that shows everything you need to establish that they were going to lose, probably on summary judgment, in front of the judge in Delaware. And if not there, it would have been in front of a jury. So the discretion being the better part of valor, because they've made so many tens of millions of dollars off the lies, they're paying $67 million. So now we've got, including the Fox payment that was already made, we've got over $860 million paid to Dominion Voting Systems because of the election lies that were being pushed. A couple of takeaways from this. We got a guy who occupies the Oval Office. I call him the mad president, Donald Trump, who still claims that there was election fraud, who still claims that the election was stolen from him in 2020. Okay? Then why did Newsmax just settle? Then why did even Newsmax doesn't believe the stories that they were running against the Dominion voting systems and about election fraud? And yet everybody in the inner circle around Donald Trump has to take a blood oath of loyalty to say that there was fraud in the election in 2020. And now we've got, though, proof on the ground that there was not. Because why would they have settled if what they were saying was true? The best defense they try to come up with in Delaware, where a lot of these cases happen because most of the major corporations in this country are Delaware-based corporations because they like the business law and the body of law and the judges that we call them Chancery Court. The Chancery Court, the chancellors, they like them. They like the routine. They like the body of law. They like to know that issues will be well handled by a business court set up for them. That's why they're in Delaware. That's why we talk a lot about Delaware and things related to Donald Trump, things related to Elon Musk, things related here to Newsmax and Fox, all in Delaware. Now, they knew the writing was on the wall. When these emails came out, much the way in the Fox News and Fox Rupert Murdoch case, all the emails and deposition transcripts and video depositions, all against Fox, Lou Dobbs, I think he died, but he would have been fired. Tucker Carlson effectively fired. When all that spilled out in the open during summary judgment proceedings and filed on the public docket, Fox had to hurry up and settle at $787 million, or it was going to be $1 billion. They wanted $2 billion. Newsmax, because again, greed, avarice and greed driving them towards lying on air for ratings. Their best defense, the hosts are just opinions. They're just opinion. They're not news. They're just giving their opinion. They're not giving their opinion. They're bringing on people to give quote unquote facts to the audience. They don't get a First Amendment protection for that. So this is a good result because it helps tamp down the argument or defeat the argument that Donald Trump lost in 2020 to Joe Biden over fraud. Because 67 million on top of 787 million paid says that's a lie. And corporate America knows it's a lie. And it also puts Newsmax in its place and Fox in its place, even though they continue to run. I watch Maria Bartiromo. She is a propagandist of the first order. That's my opinion. She's not a journalist, even though she's there acting like she's a journalist. She says things out loud and brings guests on out loud that I think cross the line on defamation. And they should be sued as a result. You'd think Fox would have learned its lesson, but they really haven't. They run interference on the Wall Street Journal against Donald Trump, but they have not learned their lesson about what defamation's all about. And the line, this blurry line between fact, journalism, reporting, and opinion. People know that what I talk about is factually based, but it's my opinion. I'm a commentator. I'm not a news reporter. I give you the news I think is important for you to understand at the intersection of law and politics without blowing smoke or sunshine, but I'm a commentator. I'm not the New York Times reporting. I'm the opinion section of the New York Times, right? But together, then we need to bring to a head all of these reports about finally justice being done and for our democracy. Together, we're running into the burning building of democracy to try to save it. We will. And here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF, we shall overcome the Trump administration. Slide over to YouTube, Legal AF MTN, and help us there on the Legal AF YouTube channel. Continue our march towards 1 million subscribers. And we're already up to 230 million views of our work. We've only been up and running since September of last year. And that's a testament to you. Legal AF Substack as well. We need, really, I'm just being honest, we need more paid membership there to help us continue to grow there, keep the lights on. That's the way you can support what we do, the type of commentary and analysis we do on Legal AF. Come over to Legal AF Substack. I think you'll be impressed by the content there, and hit the paid subscribe button as well. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.